Hey, this is Max. Welcome back to another CSR2 video. So, we've done the A's and the B's of the models, and now we're up to C, and that is Chevrolet. And Chevrolet being the only real C model in Tier 5, we're going to go through nothing but Corvettes, Camaros, and the C10 Tiffany as far as going through the C cars, and then we're on to Dodge. But Dodge will be another day, another time. Okay, let's go ahead and run through the C cars in Tier 5, and let's go ahead and win some live races. One of the more recent additions to the overall C is the C8R. Definitely a beautiful car. I like the C8 Corvette, so obviously I have every reason to love this. As you can probably figure out by this point, I don't go for really highly upgraded setups. What I go for are setups that can make good RP at minimum amount of investment from Fusions, Stage 6s, and others. 1600 plus Evo is always a good thing. The fact that you could possibly beat Dyno, or actually in this case definitely beat Dyno, is also a good thing. So I'm in a lobby here. This is a 11.0 tune. So I'm in a lobby with a bunch of cars that are dynoing somewhere in the 11 to 10.9s, and I'm going to try to win these races. Now that Murcielago right there is a Fast and Furious option. It is a dyno beating car if you set it up properly, and off he goes. But I can try to chase him down by hitting nitrous in 6 and beating him at the end. The C8R is a late accelerating car by utilizing nitrous late. That actually is slower than my dyno because I jumped out of second, or actually first gear a little too fast. It kind of killed my run there. But regardless, with such high Evo, this car is more than capable of beating most cars in this lobby due to the advantageous matchmaking I get from having lower points here and higher points there. The greater the ratio difference between the two, the stronger the matchmaking in lobby you will get. So again, 5th gear, nitrous, and at this point I'm just watching the guy chasing me down, whether he's keeping it close or not, and I can slow down a little at the end. This will keep me somewhere within reason of 10.9s and not break dyno too much. Again, this is a 11.0x tune. We're going to do 2-3 runs and then move on to the next car, which is actually the silver version of the same car. So I don't think I'm going to run both. It's really pointless. They're basically the same car. The yellow one looks better to me, which is why I want to use the yellow one. And it's less common because you had to finish the Evolution Cup with the silver one in order to get the yellow one. Okay, let's go ahead and put it through its paces one more time. 4, 5, nitrous. Now the LBR8 is a fast accelerating car, so it will get in front of me quick. But again, the C8R kind of chases everybody down near the end of the track. Once again, I slow down a little bit, make sure I don't bust dyno, so I can keep this car winning over and over and over. Alright. So that's 3 quick races in one of the Chevys I really am very glad to have in my garage. And that is the yellow C8R. Just look at this thing. Mean looking car. Takes all of the good features of the C8 Corvette and make it whiter and adding in some of the racing stuff, racing touches. Definitely an awesome car. Very happy to have added this to my garage. Alright. So the silver one works the same way, but now let's go take a look at the Dutch Boys Hot Rod Camaro. This is one of the Camaros in the game that came with the recent event. 10.107 dyno. Again, these kind of cars, one thing you'll learn about Camaros in this game is Camaros pretty much all beat dyno in CSR2. I don't know what it is, but starting off as far back as the Camaro SS, you can easily tune that to bust dyno and every Camaro thereon. The one Camaro I don't really bother to use or even look into using would be the Tier 4 ZR1, ZL1 Camaro, the one that's actually also the one Ashley gives you when you beat her, it's just not very good, so I don't really bother with that one. The Z28 T4 also isn't great, but it's actually not too terrible. Alright, so with this Camaro, I know it can bust dyno, so I'm not going to go too crazy on it from the get-go, and then just kind of control my runs here, and boom, right on through, easy peasy. And once again, Camaros are very, very effective in live at different level of tune. The under pressure, even fully maxed, beats dyno. So these cars, as long as you run them right, they could be devastating against other cars in any lobby, and they can keep on winning as long as you don't, push them into a faster lobby by going too crazy. So let's see. Now this Ford GT also can bust dyno by a substantial amount, making this an interesting match, because I have to be careful here how far I let that car get, because it will catch up to me at the end and potentially crush me. In this case though, I'm not sure they used the right shift pattern perhaps, because it didn't do that. Again, this is a very dangerous car in live if they did not already push it into faster lobbies. Most people did, so I'm not always seeing these GTs actually being competitive against me. And he left lobby, probably figured out he's been bumped from running it too hard before. Okay, let me see what else we got in here. Maybe one more race. Alright, let's take on another GT. Okay, so again, let's see how far this GT is going to push me. Again, the GT in Tier 4, if it was run properly, it's a dyno buster car, just a matter of controlling it. It could be very dangerous to most people that are playing against it, especially if somehow you were tempted into betting money. It would be a bad move. Okay, so here it comes. Well, maybe he outran me on that one. No, I got it. Alright. That was a little bit closer than I would have normally cut it, but yeah, still got that one tight, but I got the win. Okay, so that's 3 runs in the Dutch Boys Camaro. Now, I actually really like this Camaro. In fact, a little more even over some of the others, because it carries really high Evo, even with lower upgrades. Not that it's low performance points here for that lobby. This is kind of high still, but it carries a decent amount of Evo, and the tuning of this car is a little more flexible. You can drag the final drive to the left for greater dyno busting, or you can drag it more towards the highest Evo for less dyno busting, but still beating dyno a little bit. So a much more flexible car to use overall. Now, this version of it surprisingly isn't as flexible. What happens with this one is it's a good car, but it has basically a standard grip Evo drop, much like most Camaros in the game, which, while it's nice to have, and this is, again, I'm setting it to 11.0, and it can probably run like a 10.6. While it's nice to have, it's less controllable or variably controllable than the regular red Dutch boy you see over there. But let's go ahead and take Uncle Sam in for a little run. 11.07 against whatever. Should be the same lobby the Corvette would have been in, and it is. And right here, in fact, I saw this car when I was in here with the Corvette. So let's go ahead and take Uncle Sam and put it through its paces. Uncle Sam. Now, a wise man would never, in CSR2, bet money against a Camaro. I'm not saying that you can't beat them. I'm just saying you may lose your money. Okay? So, again, the Uncle Sam here easily can control and dominate this lobby, especially because it can run a lot faster than that. And most Camaros are high top speed cars. They don't look like it, but you get some serious mile per hours out of them. So a lot of times you're actually chasing people down. That's actually a good place to be, because once you pass these guys that are already topped out, you know you got it. Okay, you're not going to lose. RS6 Avant, difficult car to race against. Again, a dyno buster. But the question is he going to bust dyno more than me? Now, if I'm the one ahead, it's a little different. I have to actually run it harder and then watch, because if I do one of these slowdowns, I'm going to lose. I think I'm running too hard. That's why I kind of backed off. I don't want to run too hard there, although could have won that. Oh well. That's the other downside to these instant Evo drop cliff tunes. If you get the Evo drop tune, you really have to test run it a bit in various dynos and various shift patterns to kind of figure out where you would be given any particular shift pattern. Now, obviously, I'm not going to remember it for every single Camaro here, so I'm just going to kind of skip it. All right, the blue Dutch Boy is basically the same as the red one, so I'm not going to even bother with that, and I didn't even build it. The Valkyria, okay, again, much like the red Dutch Boy, this car has kind of a flex tune situation, but it does have your basic Evo drop as well. But as you can see, I don't have a major Evo drop anywhere here based on just pure Evo drop, right? So it's not a cliff drop car. It is basically tuned based on what the mile per hour tops out, and that is a 320. If I put, as long as I put a little extra out here, this car will beat dyno. That's a 9.8 tune. If you maximize the tune, you're looking at something like a 9.5 with this car. Okay, 9.6. So I can actually, I can actually put this car to something like a 9.517, but instead I decided to put it somewhere in the 1700s at a 9.8 time. Now, by doing this, because it's a kind of a flex tune car, just by doing that much, you now have a car that can beat dyno. I mean, that's very few cars in the game are this flexible when it comes to beating dyno. Most of them require some kind of Evo drop, cliff drop, to pull that off. A few cars in the game can do this kind of what I call flex tune without having to do anything crazy. Now, in this lobby, I'm racing. If I race an NSXR, I have to assume that it can be an elite max car that can run 9.6, 9.5s. So even though I'm a 9.8 dyno, I may have to push it just to beat them. But it's, again, it's one of the few cars that can actually beat the NSXR versus, say, a lot of cars that won't do that. Okay, so with this one, I'm going to actually launch a little bit late. And then we'll just nitrous second and run the car out. As long as I'm staying ahead of the guy, I'm going to watch and control it. So this car, again, because you're not beating dyno by huge amounts, it's much easier to control as well. I was running about a 10th under there. It won't easily bump me because I'm not that far off from the lobby. I am capable of running faster, but I can always slow down. So one of the better cars all around, in my opinion. Oops. All right. So he must have re-challenged me, and then I must have accepted too quick or something. Let me add some gas while we're out here. Right. So I don't know if he re-challenged me or I should re-challenge him, but let me try to find somebody different as well. In this zone, or lobby I should say, you see a lot of these pretty elite upgraded NSXRs. They do dominate here because they're tier 4 cars with high Evo and low performance points overall. They're at maxed out at about 674 versus my 683, and they'll have similar Evo. So from a matchmaking standpoint, I don't have any advantage here. If anything, they do. So that's something to keep in mind. Let me take on a tier 5 car in here, something different. Now this car is pretty good. Driven correctly, it should also beat dyno. So let's see how tough this challenge gets. That's a top end car too. So it's going to get faster as it gets to the top end of the track. So again, I need to be careful how far ahead I am first before I try to slow down. Because, oh, lag, that'll hurt me. Because if you slow down too early, you're going to get, beaten at the end of the track there. So that was actually a slow run, 10s. Wow, I'm surprised. Okay, so again, my dyno, it's a 9.8. I expect to run opponents around 9.7, but in this case, I ran an opponent in 10. That's actually good. Keep my averages more reasonable. Let's try this RX-7. Any T4 in these kind of faster T5 lobby, they're tough opponents because the game favors them a little bit because they're tier 4. Okay, let's forget that one since he didn't accept. And I think that's it. That's all she wrote. Everybody's busy. Try the charger. Now see, this one, I like the way this one looks. This is the new look. For some reason, my version of the charger doesn't look so nice. I don't know. I mean, I got it with the first Fast and Furious event, and I just didn't get the nicer looking charger. Who knows? Maybe I have to win it again or something to get the newer model. Alright, so not having much luck finding somebody to race. Maybe Morian SXR. Let's just pick one of them. Because I'm getting tired of waiting. Oh, race refused. See, they know better to race a Camaro. Alright. Alright, forget it. Let's go back. Let's move on to the next car, which, guess what? Is another Camaro. Woohoo! Camaro after Camaro after Camaro. That's one thing about the Chevy brand in this game. It's all Camaros plus a C10 and a Corvette here and there. So, okay, Mr. Camaro number whatever. Let's go. Let's see, what lobby is this? Oh, I forgot to dyno. Might want to go back and do that first. Let's find out what lobby we're supposed to be in, and then we can see if we're actually in that lobby and whether I'm winning in the right lobby. Alright, so dyno time. 10.2, okay. So this is a 10.2 lobby with the 1LE NASCAR Camaro. This is the NASCAR we won from, I forgot what event now. I guess Made in America's final. Let's see, or American Road Trip final. That's what it is. Alright, so Shark, Huracan. Let's go ahead and take it on. This car, depending on how it's tuned, much like a regular Huracan, can be a dyno beater or not. Apparently, he's not interested in racing me. ZR1. Let's take on the ZR1. Let's see if he'll race me. He's thinking about it. And it's refused. Okay. Or he just couldn't connect. It could be a connection issue. I don't assume people actually refused. Okay, this guy should definitely accept. This is Venom F5. Yep, there it is. Whew. Okay, Venom F5s tend to have pretty high evo at this level of upgrade, so they tend to be pretty competitive. That's why I expected them to accept. Versus people who are kind of, they know they're not the best in the lobby. They tend to refuse cars that they think may be better than theirs. Alright, now let me try to remember what gear to use nitrous. I think second or third should work. Oh, I guess it's not third. Alright, let me see what he ran first, because 9.903. Wow, not bad. Alright, so let me go ahead and try to use second gear nitrous. See, this is where I should test run my cars before I take it right into live lobby again, because you tend to forget after a while. So 10.2, 9.9, this is why this car is kind of difficult to deal with. That means for this car, for the NASCAR, it's kind of pushing it. I mean, I'm now going to have to run 3/10 under to beat them. And that's about where I have the car set up, beating dyno by about 3/10. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can go ahead and get that done. And keeping it a little bit tighter. Here we go. Right? Still close, but I was able to edge him out this time. So nitrous second pushes it. Oh, he actually drove a little worse. It would have been close either way. I didn't push it all the way, but I'm pretty sure I have this car tuned to about 9.8 as high 9.8s as the final. Now the NASCAR definitely can be set up to beat dyno just like any of the others while maintaining a relatively high evo. So it's a good car, and in fact it's actually better if I can upgrade it further, but I don't have the parts for it. With stage 6s installed, this car can be much more effective actually, even with the ability to beat dyno. So in the 9-second, 8-second lobbies, it's actually a better car. Alright, so now we're starting to get to some of the other ones that are not necessarily as good, but some oldie and goodies, some that are a little tricky. And the ZL1 1LE is one I get asked a lot. Is this any good? It's actually decent, but the problem with the ZL1 1LE is that it's an older Camaro T5 that isn't as fast and isn't as high evo, and by the time you tune it to beat dyno, which it beats dyno some, 9.7, okay, you get the typical evo drop is a 10.06. If you drive it just right, you get about 9.8. So yeah, it beats dyno, but it's again already pretty high on the performance point, low on the evo sides, and you have to still drive it carefully. So it's easier to bump this car than usual because of the new matchmaking taking into consideration low performance point versus high performance point. So if you're racing a bunch of cars like this, you may have to pick and choose your opponents to really be competitive. And if you dropped any more of the upgrades and fusions that goes with it, your points here may get under 1,000, in which case it's really not very competitive. So ZL1, still a good car, certainly still winnable in live, just not as strong as it would have been otherwise in the past. So this one I used nitrous in third, and I let it run out, keeping ahead here, and then just little slow down at the end to make sure I maintain my lead without braking out too hard. But again, notice 9.876 against 9.88. I'm already running under dyno, so sooner or later this car is going to get bumped. So this is one of those cars that you can race like this for a while, win some, and then have to reset it. I mean, that's what it basically comes down to. Against a LB Aventador, I'm probably going to lose because in a 10.0 lobby, this car can run 9.7s. So I'm not too confident here I'm going to get too far. But maybe he has a bad tune, maybe he drives it poorly, who knows? You can still take them on. Never hurts to try. Okay, worst case is I lose. And in this case, I didn't. Not only did I not lose, I was able to slow down. So that worked out quite well. 9.969, 10.009. So again, 1LE, ZL1 1LE. Unlike the Tier 4 ZL1, this is actually a good car. Winnable in live against most cars, but not all cars. And again, little bit less competitive overall than some of the later newer Camaros or even the Corvette C8, C8R, which has really high evo. So 10-15 races later you're gonna have to reset this. I'm pretty sure if I kept running it like that in that lobby and winning, I'll end up bumping the car at the end of the night. All right, this guy, okay, this guy is fully maxed. In fact, this guy fully maxed runs well under dyno. So what I have here is not fully maxed, okay, but I left two of the stronger stage 6s in to kind of keep the evo up, and we're running basically something that this car is famous for, and that is a massive cliff drop tune. Okay, dyno 9.4, just a little bump up right there, and the car should run 8.5. So it's about a second difference. Okay, so this is a 1 second dyno buster, and it does that consistently throughout the ranges, not just at this range, but even before it gets to this point. And in fact, with lower upgrades, it may be able to break dyno by 2-3 seconds. You won't have much evo, but hey, this is the one car when it first came out. It was all over the lobby, and people were throwing up 200K bets left and right. In about 6 months later, based on the new dyno matchmaking system, I stopped seeing this car for a while. You can still reset it, but most people bumped it so badly that they just gave up on it. Okay. Let's find some people to race. Ah, yes. The S15 Sylvia from Fast and Furious. Dyno beater. Which means the Mona Lisa is going to make my life a little bit tough. Because I don't really want to have to beat dyno to beat it. But I'm going to have to beat dyno somewhat to beat it. So let's see what happens. Now, this car, if you launch it with a 0 RPM drop, you can still get it somewhat under dyno, but it'll run closer to what dyno is. And that is actually 9.5, 9.6 on a run, so it's pretty bad. And he did a 9.2. What was my dyno? 9.4. So, again, the Mona Lisa beats dyno a little bit. The under pressure doesn't get any kind of a lobby advantage here. So, all right, he wants a rematch. Now I'm going to have to beat him. I got my reputation to keep here. So, launch late, shift early. So this time I'm going to launch here. And then I tried the early launch. It kind of bit me. And now I'm just going to run it out on him. Okay. Now remember, I can beat dyno by... Whoop! Yeah, good. I lost still. Son of a... Okay. I can beat dyno by a substantial amount, but it's a little harder to control because it's a full second you're working on. So, you know, that was by a little hair too much. Oh well. That's my negative thing about this under pressure. Yes, I can probably run it a little harder and beat everybody, but then I got to pay for it with a tough reset in the future. So, you know, that's my problem with it. Is it a good car? Absolutely. Is it controllable? Absolutely. But are you going to be able to really slow it down enough to make it so you're not breaking dyno by like 5/10? A little tough. All right, so this one I'm definitely going to win. I'm tired of losing, so I'm just going to... no! Yes! Woo! All right. All right, so I took a risk there of just running too far into dyno, but I definitely won that one. So again, I'm actually about 2/10 from my actual dyno, so it's not too bad, but it is one lobby up, and it's going to keep bumping like this. Eventually, the under pressure is going to get bumped worse and worse. This is one of those cars, again, and you're going to have to end up racing it carefully and then resetting a lot, so it kind of takes the charm out of it. The whole great thing about this car is that it beats dyno by a full second, and you don't get to use it. So takes a little fun out of it. But yeah, if you were just taking this car in and somebody raised a 200K bet, I mean, unless they have something like this car that's going to outrun dyno by over a second, you know, they're handing you that money. Okay, ZR1. Now, this is an interesting car in that it's actually very hard to tune it to beat dyno because it really doesn't want to beat dyno because it has too much grip. It's one of those cars that, you know, when you tune it normally and put the car in live, it'll beat dyno by a hair, and it has pretty good evo. So sometimes it gets just enough matchmaking advantage to be useful, but it's really hard to actually beat dyno by a substantial amount with it. And I find it that I see people racing it, but then I also notice that they don't tend to stick with it, or they'll start refusing certain cars because they know that they have a hard time beating them. I have it tuned to 9.7. Why? Because the people that'll love to challenge this car will be the NSXRs. The NSXRs are going to see this car and they're going to say, ooh, easy kill. I'm going to go after that guy. Well, by the way I tuned it, if I'm not bumped, I should be able to take on the NSXR and actually do all right. I don't like this lobby. Something about this lobby makes me not comfortable. Let me jump out and see if I'm stuck in this particular lobby. I expect to see more NSXR than that, and I'm not. I'm stuck in this lobby. I may have a slight bump already, but Diego will let me know. Now, Diego C10, we'll talk about that one after the ZR1, is another rather difficult car to tune to really beat dyno although it's capable in certain ways to do it, it's kind of a pain to get it right. All right, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, controlling, and we took out Diego. Now, the good thing about Diego C10 is unless it's beating Dino, it'll tell me exactly what lobby I'm in, which is the lobby I'm hoping to be in, 9.8 to 9.7. I'm already on the faster end of the lobby, so that's a good start, and therefore, if I can beat Dino, which I can, it'll make my car that much more competitive. So the ZR1, again, a little high here, but that's pretty decent. So this isn't a terrible lobby. I'm going to be all right in here. I'm seeing some more NSXRs. These are the guys that if I were to take on, I would have to push my run to beat them. But again, I am pretty confident I can do it, and this is a good way to have this ZR1 for that reason, because you can give them a run for their money. Oh, except I didn't use my nitrous right. Okay, oh well. But I can still beat them pretty consistently. So if the NSXR sees you, they're going to want to challenge you, but you're going to be in a position where you're going to be pretty competitive against them with this ZR1, and this is why I have it here. So I can kind of come in here with my big bright yellow car and take on most of the cars in here and know that generally speaking, unless they're tuned specifically to get under 9.6s, I'm all right. I wouldn't take on something like that and expect much, or this car and expect, in fact, I'll race it, but something like the Flip car, the Jesco, they're just such high evo cars that they can easily, in this lobby, outrun my ZR1, even with my tune. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can win this. This is going to be a little bit tougher for me, I think. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, let's chase him down. It's going to be tough. Whoa! See, I had to push all the way through to win that one. That's a bump risk, but 9.637 against a 9.816. But it's hard. I think he slowed down. He slowed down thinking he had it. That's why he's re-challenging me. This car I know can run well under dyno in any lobby, so watch him pull a 9.5 out of this run. Okay, let's do it. Now again, I don't expect to win this, but I could possibly win it. So let's go. Push it again. It's going to be tight. See, now he's way ahead of me. And it's a loss. But it's not surprising. Again, I know this car. I know what it's capable of. When I took it on, I've already kind of hedged my bet against it. Now, had he raised money against me, I would have refused it. Or if it's 50,000, I would have just, I consider it donation to my YouTube video. All right. So that is that lobby. Again, this car, because it's not truly a dyno buster kind of car, and I'm using what I call a nitrous push technique, using nitrous to push the car beyond its normal limits. This is how I'm getting it from 9.74 to like a high 9.5s if I do everything perfectly. But again, it's tough to use and tough to tune, and one of the tricks here is using less grip so you can push it with the nitrous, but you are sacrificing evo just like the cliff tune. Okay, and that is the ZR1. Not a terrible car, but not the greatest either. However, in certain lobbies, like I was just showing you, it is capable. Okay, the Quentin brothers Camaro, another Camaro. Gee, I would have never thought I'd run into another Camaro in Chevy garage, right? All right, so this one, much like the Dutch boys, the Valkyria and the Dutch boys, does one of those things where you can do this and get it down there, and next thing you know, you got yourself a little bit of a dyno beater here. Let's go ahead and run this on the dyno track first, because I'm changing cars so fast I'm losing track of how to drive each of them. And again, I also want to know how much I'm going to beat dyno by so I don't accidentally kill myself. Oops. All right. So there can launch like that. That's one thing I just figured out. Definitely a late launch, not an early launch, because it still gave me a 0 RPM drop. And when I did the early launch, of course, I ran poorly. Okay, one more run. Once I get the hang of the launch, I will now take it back out to live, and let's see what we can do with this car. So again, this one's a flexible tune car in a sense, and I kind of like those, but in this case the launch has to be really pretty late, because otherwise you're going to get a 0 RPM drop and it would completely kill your run. Plus it's only 4 gears, so control is not as easy. Okay, 8.853 on a 9.158. I think I like the margin a little wider than that, so let's put it to 9.2s. Let's put it to 9.24, and we'll run it that way. So I got about a 3/4 margin to play with. 9.2 lobby, you mostly run people that are going to run 9.0s to 9.25 to 9.3s. A few guys will be able to run 8.9s, 8.8s, and the Dino Busters can run 7.7s. But you know, this is no lobby is truly safe except for the absolute max lobby, and you have the absolute. Then you're safe because nobody's gonna outrun you except for the modders. Even then, you're not safe. Okay. Huracan Coupe. Now, with a 9-second lobby, assuming I'm in the right lobby, a Huracan Coupe isn't going to beat Dino by much, if any. So I am not particularly worried about beating him ultimately, because it also tops out quick, so I can see when it's stuck. So right, he's stuck at a certain RPM, a mile per hour, and he's going to be stuck there. So all I had to do was run 9.2. He only ran a 9.4. Easy win for the Camaro, which Dino's exactly what I just ran there. All right, low on. Oh, I was going to say low on gas. We should add some gas. Now, this guy, Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a dangerous car. Okay, in any lobby, because it's a natural dyno beater, and it can be dyno naturally by about 2 to 3/10, depending on how well the guy drives it, what the exact setup and tune is, how many fusions that are missing, vice versa, etc., etc., etc. But watch that top speed; it's coming. Okay, now in this case, that particular Spider-Man didn't run that well, and it kind of gave me the win. But again, I'm running 9.2s against 9.3s. I may have some advantage here because I haven't used this Quentin Camaro much, and as I keep telling other players, when you first take a fresh car into a lobby that hasn't been raced before or raced very little, the computer tend to matchmake you with an advantage. Speaking of that, I found bots. I need to run it slow. Those bots are giving me a hint I might be changing lobbies, so I want to run one really slow and maybe not change, or even if I change to some that's not too fast. I kind of touched on this in the Bugatti B car video. Same idea here. Now this one I can do the 0 RPM drop and comfortably stay in third and watch that car slowly but surely try to catch up. And I'm going to run nice 10.8, win against the bot, because they run really slow. They run like 11.4s. So, 11.9, even slower. All right, so what that does is it gives the, before I changed lobbies, and I am going to change lobbies now. New B224. All right. Since we're the only two here and the bots, I'm at the edge of the lobby somewhere. I'm not going to run this one fast. If anything, I'd rather lose than run it too quick and bump my car. So third gear nitrous, fourth gear. I'm going to let them just blow past me because I don't want to run too quick. And I'm going to jump out and leave lobby. 9.26. So I'm probably on the edge of the 9.4 lobby, moving to the 9.2 lobby. Now, it's a way I may actually salvage this and stay in the 9.3, 9.4 lobby a little longer. I don't know if it's going to happen. If it's a 9.2 lobby, I'm going to start seeing cars that'll run faster than 9.2s. So new lobby. The question is, where am I? All right, these Nissan GTRs. I don't have this one. But a lot of the T5 ones do not beat dyno, so I'm not sure if this one would. Let's see how hard this race is. If he runs a 9.1, then that tells me all I need to know, which is he didn't run a 9.1. That's all that. So I'm in the, by bumping down, I am still in the slower lobbies. And I can stay here for a while still, as long as I control my runs. Doesn't mean somebody in here can't run 9.0s, but it'll be one of those cars that naturally beat dyno or slight dyno busting setup. So again, Quentin Camaro, quite effective, much like the, I guess, the Valkyria, a flex tune car. Dutch Boy Camaro, a flex tune car. I like these, right? I like cars that are flex tune, not one click and you lose a whole second. Those are much tougher to control. And we're here now with our, one of the favorites in Chevy brand is the C10 Tiffany, because it's just kind of a cool hot rod truck. Okay, when this was first introduced, everybody loved it. Everybody wants to get a hold of this thing. And little interesting tidbit is the phone number on here is actually accurate. You can actually call the shop because this is a fully digitized truck, and that information about the shop, unless they went out of business now, but that information on the shop is actually accurate. Now, you can already, if you watch enough of my videos, you can already see based on the fact that I just crashed that this game has problems, but hold on. I'll be right back. And we're back from the crash. I was trying to get into the tune lobby there, but I was saying you can tell by looking at my performance point versus Evo what I may say about this car and its likelihood to get bumped. You know, anytime you have this high, that low, the car is going to be a little bit less effective. I'm using a similar technique here as I did with the Corvette ZR1, which is I'm going to use nitrous and loose tire tune to try to push this car beyond its dyno. Now, this is a pretty high dyno with a very high performance point level, so I'm getting no lobby advantage. If anything, I may have a lobby disadvantage, and that's the problem with this particular kind of setup is, yes, I can beat dyno, yes, I can run people, but no, I won't be that competitive. So while it's usable, it's not necessarily going to be a long-term good tune for any purpose. However, it's one of the only ways I can beat dyno with it, so I'm going to go ahead and use it a little bit. And look at this lobby full of cars that can beat dyno. Not good for my attempt to win some here. So you got your NSXRs, you got the what is that, the Griffiths? Is that a Griffith? That looks like it's a black one. These guys, this thing's going to probably kick my behind, but you know what? Let's race one. Because if I can beat that, then, you know, the Tiffany's doing good. And if I can't beat it, which I seriously have some doubts, then I'm in trouble. 1, 2, nitrous third, fourth, and it is still behind me. Good. And it's coming. I was able to slow down a little bit so I don't have to break dyno too much. I was able to win. Wait, what was my dyno? 10.2. I don't think I can beat dyno by that much. I must have had a 10.5 dyno. It's not good to forget what you dynoed. You know, I even dynoed the car and I forgot. So that means I may have to go back there and take a look at it. You know what? Let me race someone else. That may tell me, but if I'm feeling like I'm pushing hard just to win each time, I may have to go back and look at my dyno, see how badly I'm breaking my own rules here. All right. Oh, it would be nice to be able to race that one. This beats dyno. That's just something. This car can beat dyno. Well, not everybody beats dyno, but this one I just showed you guys not long ago. Wow. Okay, not looking too good in here. Let me go back to lobby and go ahead and dyno this car again. So C10, as much as I'd love to have this car working great, it's unfortunate. Yeah, 482. I remember I was somewhere in the slower end, and so that run right there was 2/10 under. And with this kind of a setup, it's just something that may not work well in the long run. Not to say right now it's not going to be able to keep winning for a bit. 5, 10 runs, 10, 15 runs. Eventually, though, more than likely, bumping up into tougher lobbies. Right now, obviously, I haven't. I'm still in here. And, okay. This is one of the cars I have a chance against. So I'm going to race it. Doesn't mean I'm going to win. I just have a chance against it. 600 LT Spider. Okay, maybe I don't have a chance against it. It's a pretty good live racer, that car. Depending on how he has it set up, yet again, that's always the question. 1, 2, 3, nitrous. And that'll allow us to push it. Yeah, it's coming. And it beat me. So, right there, 600 LT, I knew that's, if it was a 570, it's different, but 600, it's tough. Again, I could probably push my car all the way to run that, but I'm already kind of risking it here. So, C10, not the best setup. Even if it does beat dyno theoretically, matchmaking isn't really giving me much of a favor here. He wants to race again. All right. Yeah, all right. Found somebody he can beat, and he's getting excited. All right, so I'm going to push the car all the way through this time. I'm not going to slow down, but that means I'm going to be running quite a bit under my dyno, which isn't good. So let's run it all out. Okay. He may still make it very close, but I'm going to win right there. But again, this is really pushing it because I'm going from a 10.48 to a 10.19. That's 3/10 under. So 3/10 is now you're pushing past the lobby edge of a full lobby and a half. And that means when I come out of this race, I may even be in a different garage. I mean, a different lobby, I should say. So far, so good. I'm still in here. Let's take one more. And let's see what this car runs. Huracan Pure Sport. Yeah, this is, depending on how he has it tuned, this car can easily break dyno in this lobby. And I'm going to have to chase him down. Here I go. I'm coming. And it's a tough race. Very tough. And he wins. So that's not an easy car to race against. And I think I may already be bumped in this. Look at that. 10-0. Okay. So C10, unfortunately, as much as I've tried to find a good way to keep it winning, it's kind of a rough car to tune and use. It's probably the one that I have the most trouble with out of the T5 Chevys. Most of the other cars are easier to tune, but this one, your other option, of course, is always to run it at what is essentially the max Evo setup, which, depending on where it, let me see, where is it? With this level of upgrade, it's not actually, yeah, it's around here, and then you can move this in, push that a little bit. Okay, so this will become like a max Evo setup, but as you can see, it doesn't really look that great, and it's a 9.8 versus a 10.4, but it isn't necessarily going to be competitive either, even when you take it into live. So as good as this car looks in some, I mean, not to everybody. Some people think it looks like an old crappy truck, but to those of us who like this kind of ratty hot rod look, it's a pretty cool truck. All right, let's move on, and that brings us to the Copo. Okay, the Copo Camaro. This car thing is that if you take too many upgrades out, the Evo really gets too low, and it's not worth it. So it's almost better. This is almost a better car when it's more upgraded versus less upgraded. It's unusual in comparison to some other cars. I have it here at 9.188. The thing with this car is you need to get that. You're actually better off always with the Copo to get a 0 RPM drop. If you get the 0 RPM drop with the tune, you can actually beat dyno a little bit and be pretty competitive. But if you don't get the 0 RPM drop, you still have to really hold yourself from hitting that nitrous, because this car's nitrous is going to be in the final gear only. So if you hit it early, it just hurts you. It doesn't help you. Hey, look at that C10 truck. Let's race a C10 with the Copo. So this should be somewhere in the 9.1 lobby. If he's not going to connect. There's no back arrow, so that's not going to work. Ooh, ooh, ooh! That's going to be a tough race. Okay. So that Aston Martin DBS at 9.1, it can easily be tuned to beat dyno. So let's hope I'm going to be all right. Yes, 0 RPM drop. I have a chance. And nitrous third to catch up. Catch up. Catch up. Yes. Winner, winner. Chicken dinner. 9.023 against a 9.070. As you know, my dyno is like a 9.1. So not too bad. Now, it can actually outrun that a little more. This will hit 8.9s easily. But that 0 RPM drop, pretty critical. Otherwise, I may not even hit that 9.0, and that would have been definitely a loss. And that's another decent live racer, so I don't take that card lightly when I see it. Let's try to see if any of these C8Rs are interested in racing. I don't know if they're swapping with each other. CSR Police 1. Well, don't report me. I'm not doing anything wrong. All right, let's go ahead and take him on. As you know, the C8R is late nitrous and accelerates kind of late car, so it's going to be operating a little bit like the way my Camaro would. So let's see if we can... Oh, no! No! No 0 RPM drop! No! That's terrible. Oh, I'm going to lose. And let's see what he ran anyway, because I think that was pretty fast. 8.923. It's beatable, but boy, I got a bad launch. That really hurt. Yeah, if you get again, that's what I'm saying with the Copo, and also the same problem with the Ford Cobra Jet. They have very specific kind of launch you have to do to get the result you want, and if you don't get it just right, you end up with this bad run where the other guy's going to run over you. So let's try CSR Police one more time. Let's see if I can get that 0 RPM drop this time. So it's right there. Okay, let me try to get this right. Boom, 0 RPM drop. Now it's a different game. I have a chance to win. And I do. All right, so 0 RPM drop with the Copo, quite important, and it'll run substantially under as well. So 9.1, 8.9s, that's how this car works. But getting that launch consistently every time can be tricky. Now he's going to push me again. I think maybe he knows he can do 8.8s. I wouldn't be surprised. So let's see what happens. Or he thinks I'm swapping, which is fine too. I may not even get my RPM drop again. Oh, I got it. Okay. All right. But I'm going to go ahead and let him have this win, mainly because neither one of us has swap symbols, but I actually don't want to run the Copo too hard just yet because it's a relatively fresh car as far as my lobby. I mean, this one I'm using is concerned. So, all right. So he got his win again. Let's go ahead and go back. I think that kind of gets us to wrap up the Camaros and the Corvettes of Chevrolet, which is all the C cars in T5 basically. Okay, so this Camaro, and obviously whoops, what did I just do? You also have this version, okay, which I started building, then I realized I'm gonna have to shift stuff around and that costs gold, so I decided to stop. There's the same reason I didn't build any of these, because once I already invested in these, going over to those to put parts in will cost too much, so I just kind of let it go. So that is the C, Alphabet C model, which is Chevrolet. Unfortunately, there are no others, but guess what? You already have 2 garages worth of C cars just from Chevy, and more than a garage full, in fact, almost most of it are all Camaros. We have a lot of Camaros in this game. So as far as from a live racer standpoint, I like most of the Chevys. They're all strong relatively strong live racers, with maybe the possible exception of that C10, which I struggle with. And that could just be me. There might be good tunes out there. Maybe I just didn't find it. But outside of that truck, I've had very good luck and success overall with all these other cars, particularly these Camaros. I mean, the reason I don't use the Camaros is not because they're bad. It's because everybody knows the Camaros are tough to beat, and you get refused a lot. So that's no fun. I go into lobby, I want to race. I don't want people to just keep refusing me. That's probably the main reason I kind of parked my Camaros. It's not because I don't think they're going to win or they're not good cars. The main problem has been they're too good, and people have caught on to that. All right, so let me know your thoughts. If you have any questions about a specific Camaro or Corvette or other Chevy in the Tier 5, just let me know. If you have your own tune and you know that it is very effective and you want to share it, let me know as well. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the channel chat. I hope you liked the video. If you do, leave a like. If you like my channel, please subscribe so you can get notifications. And as always, thank you for watching my video. I'll catch you next time.